Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of ghost hunting. Shop talk. The reason I said ghost hunting is I spent half a day yesterday looking at this Kenwood TS120, and the owner complained of terrible VFO drift. Well, you know, this radio is over 30 years old, and you're going to have some VFO drifting. Serial number on this radio is 010, and back on the 001 serial numbers, Kenwood had came up with a service bulletin about going into the VFO and changing out a few caps and moving some grounds on the post in there to solve that issue. And this one was more of a garble than a drift, and as far as I know, Kenwood has already updated later radios to solve that, but still, even with a 30-year-old radio, you're going to get drift. Well, I hooked the thing up yesterday and spent quite a while waiting for the drift to start. The thing was rock solid for 4 hours on the bench. I went through, did an alignment, tuned it just to make sure everything was right and no problems whatsoever. So I chased this ghost in this radio for quite a while, only to come to find out that there's nothing really wrong with it. So I think my first thoughts is it's power supply. And after talking with a gentleman, I think he's running a pyramid power supply. And you know, I'm not knocking the pyramids. They're okay for what they are, for the money you pay for them. But you know, the quality is not there. And you know, you gotta watch running some of the switching power supplies and these older radios like this. They don't like it. Another thing that he has is he uses alligator clips to connect it to the power supply. You know, that's alright, but after a while, you know, this thing draws a little bit of amperage, and you know, to put out 100 watts, it's going to draw some amperage. It can cause some heat buildup on these clips, and that can cause some problems. So I really think that his problem is mostly with this power supply. No drift whatsoever. Next thing on the list is this laptop that I use as my schematic database. You know, I use it and got it connected to the big screen, so I can pull up schematics, because my old eyes don't see this stuff as good as it used to. But I believe I'm going to take this laptop out in the yard and run over it with a tractor. See how many pieces the blades can cut it into, because I'm sick of it. This thing, I've reloaded Windows on this thing, I think 5 times in the last year and a half. Very, very seldom is it hooked to the internet. Like I say, I mostly load files on a USB stick, transfer them over, and use it just to display that, and with the microscope camera and so forth. But it gets to the point where it doesn't do nothing. It just sits there and freezes up. So I think it's time to replace it. And I think I'm going to take my main shop computer and move it over to be the schematic database, and put me in a new computer here to do my YouTube video editing on. I've been using Windows Movie Maker since that's a free program, and it does pretty good. But I need to move up to something a little more better for video editing, because I want to now you see how long it took that I clicked desktop, and it took that long for desktop to get there. There's no reason whatsoever this computer keeps doing this, but you know, anyway, I want to move on to something a little more professional, hopefully without spending a fortune to do it with. But I want to get into a little bit better editing software where I can put picture in picture, and maybe have something I can add a capture card to, and you know, run dual cameras and so forth and get into it. So I'm using my ICOM 745 back here on the bench now, and I'm having a ball with that here. I can plug the microphone in, talk a little DX while I'm back here working, and you know, I can also use the radios to monitor IFs and so forth, since this has general coverage receive. What I only had was a dipole over here, and that was dealing with the antenna. So this morning I get out in the shop and I climb the tower, and I got a butternut up. It's up about 35 feet over top of the garage, and I got a 10 through 80 meter dipole up, just dedicated to just one side of the bench. And there's an Antron 99 up on the very tip top of the tower. So I ran all that stuff over this morning through the ceiling and mounted me a little switch box over here, so I can switch between the antennas, and I have just about all the frequencies I need here. I also have a UHF and VHF antenna hooked up, and now I have all the frequencies I need over here on the workbench to test out various radios and stuff. Do some on-air testing. That should help a lot. But I put on the radio today, and it's just full of contact. You know, fairly decent singles today. But as you can see, even here at what is it? It's 2:52 in the afternoon, and the line noise is running about S5. You see someone talking now, but it's hanging at about S5. It's really, really terrible. If I'm going to hear you, you're going to have to be running a pretty strong single with all the noise that we have here. But you know, there's a lot of noise here in the shop too, generated from different equipment and so forth. But I know the biggest thing that everybody has been wanting to know is when I'm going to get back to the 101 series. I bet you in 3 weeks I had, I think it was 162 emails asking questions on the 101s. Guys, it takes a lot of time to get to these emails, so please bear with me. I never thought that doing a series like this would create so many questions, and I'm going to try to answer them all, but I like to answer as many of them as I can through the videos. So anyway, yesterday I ordered a big box of stuff from my friend Mike over at Mike's Radio Repair on his YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, I'll leave a link down below. He does a real good job on repairs and stuff on various CB radios and equipment and stuff. Mike's a good guy. You will enjoy his channel. But one thing, a guy just emailed me yesterday and asked me how can he test various things in the radio without having extender cords. And I thought I would go ahead and show you that right quick on how to test stuff without extender cords. As you can see, I have a scope probe running down here. You can't see what it's connected to, but if we'll look over here on the old Syncor CS61, you can see I'm monitoring a single of 20.0185 megahertz. And I'm sitting here looking at this single because I'm doing some testing on this receiver, and I haven't stopped shooting video. I've been shooting a bunch of videos on this radio. I just haven't gotten it edited up and put together to do in a video. But I'll just show you the quick and dirty way of getting to it to monitor your singles through these boards without extender cords. Shut the radio down. Remove the scope probe. I'll pull the RF board out. Let me get this where you can see it a little bit better. And that's one way of doing it there. what I've done, don't solder directly through the pins. You will mess the pins up, and when you push them in the slot, it's going to open the fingers up on the socket a little more, and you're going to have a mess, especially when you clean the solder up and it doesn't make contact on the socket. But all I've done was there's 3 points here I wanted to monitor, so I just took some solid wire, insulated wire, and connected them to the points that I need, and hooked the top of them to put my probes on. Like this one is connected to pin 8, and if we look at pin 8 on the schematic, that's RFN. So all you do is find pin 8, run up the trace to the first solder blob, and just connect it up right there. This gives you a good way of testing without extender cords, and it works fairly good, and you shouldn't have any problems with it. So, you know, we're originally going to take what money I've got set aside for YouTube to buy a good video camera for the Amscope microscope, but I couldn't beat this deal that, you know, Mike offered me on the parts that I needed for this radio, and I'm getting a good bit of stuff, and I'll do a video on that too, and show you what's in there. So we'll have to save up a little more money and get our microscope camera. Then we're going to get into some SMD repair later on various things, and another thing I want to do is a bit of shoot footage on the Kenwood TS940, looking at different problems on the circuit boards for that. But anyway, we still got a lot more. The next video we get into on the 101 is going to get right down to the meat and potatoes, and we're going to go through this whole receiver section and look at how to test it and how to go through it. I will show you that one problem here that we're going to have to be looking for. We pretty much got the sensitivity of the radio up pretty good. You know, and that's just using the internal generator in the radio. But if you look at the meter, okay, I'll shoot this part again. I'm not sure how much of it I lost, but I looked down and the camera was saying, "Hey dummy, my card is full." So I had to go in and delete a bunch of videos for the past couple months. So it was pretty much filled up. Anyway, I was saying though that right this minute didn't do it, but keep looking at the S meter, and you see the S meter wiggle, and you'll see it'll jump up to 40, and there it goes, and going down. So I got some kind of noise in there, and I feel like it's a mechanical issue. Now when I say mechanical issue, I don't mean that there's a relay or excuse me, a switch or something that's causing it. What I mean by mechanical issue is a electrical mechanical issue, a resistor breaking down, or a capacitor or something that's in this single, and it's about to go. So we'll have to get in and look at this and see what's causing that, but we'll get to it. Someone else emailed me and asked what camera was I'm running to shoot the videos on, and what I'm currently shooting with is the Sony Hdr Cx 240. And you know, the camera's somewhere between $300 and $400 when I first bought this one. I think they're a lot cheaper now. In fact, I don't even think they make this model anymore. But it's not a bad camera, and from what I've seen, the picture quality is not bad at all, especially on this end. Now, you know, when you run it through YouTube, it's going to change it quite a bit. So if yeah, I'd like to hear comments on the picture quality. I am considering picking up another camera or two, and one thing that the Sony cam doesn't have that I would like to have is an external audio jack. And I know y'all have noticed that, especially a few people have made comments about when you're working on the radio and you're setting stuff to show you something, the tone just about drowns out my voice. You know, forgive me for that, but you know, it's just like any other environment you're going into, there's going to be some noise that we just have to put up with. Now, if I had a external jack, I could move the microphone away from the radio, and that would help a lot. But if you were here under a classroom setting, the noise is going to be there. You know, you're going to hear it. You know, it's not going to be muted out, especially if you're learning and studying to figure out how to do this stuff. But anyway, yeah, I've got that in the future I want to do. I am looking for different camera options, and I thought about one time I needed a cam where I can add macro lenses to, but with the USB digital cam I have and the microscope, fit a camera to that option is no longer needed on a handheld cam. But one thing I like to do is, I was talking about the editing software. It's better to use two cams to combine it together, one showing the work and then one showing the close-up to do picture-in-picture with. So we'll look at doing some of that sometime in the future. It's probably going to be a while. You know, it's only lay out a percentage of money from the shop to go into YouTube. You know, YouTube does pay, doesn't pay a whole lot, you know, so that money goes to stuff to help create and produce the videos. But it, you know, doesn't happen overnight, guys. You know, I said before, when working on these radios, it's the tools that you need to work on it with. And like I said before, you know, if you can pick you up the service manual, that will help a lot. The service manual really comes in handy. But this is something I like to do. Now, you know, you can download all the files you want and put on your computer and look at it. But if you're looking at it and you see I got my service manual, it's marked with tabs on it, you know, you can pull up different things. But, you know, but then if you're going to go back here to the schematic, and you got to pull out a schematic and keep flipping back, you know, it don't take long to wear out the service manual that way. So one thing I do like to do, I've created these little pamphlets, and what they are is, I got like 5 or 6 of them just on the 101, and you know, Yaesu FT101 board layout, schematics, and block diagrams. And you know, and through each one, you know, this is nothing but board layouts in this particular manual. So, you know, I can have 2 or 3 books open at one time and look at a board layout, you know, look at a schematic of that board and a block diagram of the board, and this helps real good. This is a basic block diagram of the 101. And we'll be using this to go through this radio when we get to this next video on it, and we'll go through and we'll test each unit and how each unit works and how to follow along on the schematic for each piece. And what we'll do, we'll write in, you know, what pin number this is, what pin number is coming out, and the associated parts in the list. That's why I have so much blank space on this paper for, you know. And then another 101 block diagram that you don't see a lot of. I will be posting this on my website so you can follow through with it. and this is the technical block diagram, and it basically shows what I'll be doing on this page right here. But this block diagram would help you a lot in following through on this radio. And this one book, which one I go through quite a bit, you know, this is just theory of operation. You're sitting here and you're going through the other books and you say, well, just how does this work, you know, how does this part? Well, it's all written in this book. And all this is just out of the service manual. It's just that this is dedicated just for the theory of operation. You know, so it helps quite a bit. Now I know a lot of you have already figured out, you know, I'm just a lover of radio. I don't care what kind of radio is, you know, receiver, ham radios, CB radios, business band radios. I just love radios, marine radios. Don't care what it was. Well, this is something that was brought to me not very long ago from my son's fiance, and her daddy bought this in 1990, and it has never been took out of the package and turned on. Now, she said he had the original box that this came in, but they kept it in the trunk of the car, and the trunk leaked and the box was just destroyed. So, you know, when I got it, there was still cardboard stuck to it, so I had to clean that out. But this is a realistic 40-channel emergency CB citizen band radio. Radio Shack sold these in 1990, and this is a version piece of NASA equipment. So let's open it up and just have a little look at it. So, you know, my first thoughts when I got this thing was to open it up, tear it apart, and do a tear down video on it. But since this radio has never been used and molested or anything, I decided not to. I wanted to keep it just like it was. I'll never use it. It'll just go on the shelf with some of my other nostalgic stuff. And came with the operator's manual. Talks about the accessories, how to use it. Common uses for CB radio, old 10 codes, specifications, maintenance and problem solving. I saw nothing listed in here about a battery. I don't think this unit even takes a battery. Plain English rules for citizen band radio service. You see some of the moisture stuff has probably seeped through the case and got into this, although the operator's manual won't affect it at all. Maybe it's just type of paper that it's used on. The only thing I didn't see with this was the information to send off for your CB license back then. I don't remember 1990. I think 1990 there was a CB license, so yeah, probably wouldn't have came with it. So that's your basic radio, model TRC 409, stamp. And the reason why I don't think this has a battery in it is usually walkie-talkies with batteries have one small place you can pop off. I think this one's DC only. You got the volume button. This has a range button, up down channel button, channel 9. That's your microphone, power indicator. Big old orange push to talk button. On the bottom you have your antenna connector. You notice there's no antenna connector on the top, so it was made to be used like a regular handy talkie. And you have the power connector. Now, one of the first things you think in an emergency radio You would think batteries would be the first thing you need. So if you broke down the side of the road with a dead battery, and the only means of powering it up is your cigarette lighter plug, you may be in trouble. I don't think that was too well thought out. Magnet mount base antenna with the RCA phono style plugs in the bottom of the radio. Then your telescopic antenna just screws right into the base. Yep. Very interesting bit of kit. Never been used. I think that was very interesting. I love finding stuff that has never been used before. But that's the Realistic TRC 409 emergency radio. Also, while up in the attic running coax cables to get those antennas over in the shop, I run across a box and I happened to look in it and found these. This is Radio Shack catalog number 276-1576, and pretty dusty. The box shows a lot of wear. Price tag on it of $14.95. I cannot remember when I bought this, but it has been a long time ago. And it's a PC board kit from Radio Shack. And this must be something I bought and forgot about many years ago. Comes in a little case. Bought a PCB etching. I don't even know if it's still any good. So I can't remember when I had bought this. Some resist ink sulfate. There's a Sharpie for making your lines. Look at that, still writes, even after all this time. Piece of Scotch-Brite for cleaning your boards. And 2 pieces of circuit board material. And corrections to show you how to do all this. Now the only thing I see missing in the kit is the 1/16 inch drill bit. It's not here. Now this may have been the case where I just needed the drill bit and spent $14 for this whole kit just to get the drill bit out of. There's no telling back then. You go on a Sunday and hardware stores won't open, but Radio Shack was. There's a 1/16 of an inch drill bit in this kit, so I may have bought it just for the drill bit and never used the kit, which I have used plenty of these back in the 80s to make homemade circuit boards. But need to put the copper back in. Old nostalgia stuff. Love it. this is another piece of equipment I bought many years ago, and it's still in the box. I had went somewhere and checked out a radio for somebody many years ago, and I had left my SWR meter at home, so I ran down to the local Radio Shack and bought this one. Catalog number 21-526A, but it does SWR power. I think power is up to 10 watts, modulation. So I had to buy a piece of coax while I was there too. Sold Tandy wire, as you can see. And what I used to like about a lot of this Radio Shack stuff back in the day, not only did you get the directions on how to use it, you also got excuse me, a schematic diagram. How much stuff today do you buy that you see a schematic diagram in? Basically nothing. They don't want you to work on it. They want you to buy a new one. So there's going to be a lot of time being spent over the next few weeks working on this series of the 101. So I can get that in there, because I know there's a lot of you out there that's wanting more on this. I can always tell every time I upload a video and it's on anything but the 101, I'll see a thumbs down. So I can understand it, but at least that lets me know that someone's watched the video. Thumbs up's always good. Thumb down's an indication that you watched it also. So anyway, we'll be getting back on this series, and we got a lot of work ahead of us on this. And as soon as my package arrives, we'll get some more parts to do more testing with, and should have all the parts and the knobs that I need. The VFO knob on this one is missing the little spinner, so we better replace that. And got the RF shield will be coming, plus a whole set of replacement boards and some chassis sockets to make some card extenders with. We'll show you how to do that. With some single-sided circuit board. You don't have to use a double-sided circuit board, even though the plug-in boards are double-sided. But each board has a via in it, and it directly goes to the corresponding pin on the other side. And the socket connectors is one solid piece of metal that's in a U, and it goes out the other side. So your circuit boards can be made directly out of single-sided copper. And I went online and found someone selling out some stuff, and had this big huge sheet, 11 by 14 inch copper. And if you do this, you can't use 1/16 of an inch. You got to get the smaller size, but you want to be about the same size as the board. Now if you got, all you got is 1/16 single-sided copper sheets, you can go on the back side and mill this down. If you got a way of milling the back side, you know, you can use a sand block, sand it down, and etch your other side, you know, about 3/4 of an inch down. That way you can make your fingers a little thinner and keep the rest of the board thicker, so it won't really matter. But you got to be under 1/16. That's the next size under 1/16 that you'll need. If you use the 1/16, you're going to spread your contacts open, and your boards are not going to seat back in the radio good. So we'll be showing you how to make a set of extender cords using this copper plate and the chassis connectors I got order on. Well, anyway, that concludes this segment of Shop Talk, and let's say we'll get back on these 101s. We're going to do a lot of work with them, and hopefully by the time we finish this series, everybody's going to know everything there is to know about a 101. Very easy radio to work on. They're great radios, very versatile radios. They are just as valuable today to me using it for a ham radio as they were back when they first come out. These radios to do everything you want it to do. You just can't beat them. They're just great radios. Anyway, I'd like to hear your comments. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you in the next one.